Hi everyone, I'm here today with Dan, who works in our warehouse. He's the guy who makes sure that every single parcel that leaves our warehouse arrives with you in beautiful conditions. So thanks very much, Dan. I'm here today to talk about his NB1, specifically his sloppy shifter feel. I've been told that it is like stirring a bowl of oats. Now, I'm going to quantify that a little bit later on, but first of all, Dan, tell us about your amazing machine.
So it's a 1999 Mazda MX-5. Obviously it's got some battle scars, but it's a daily driven. Got some nice wheels on it, got a big boy exhaust. It's currently on the second engine and hopefully it will stay like that. Yeah.
Great stuff, mate. Well, can I please have your keys and we'll go give it a drive? Let's go. So this car is on eBay coilovers. I think damping is a gesture rather than an actual thing that they do. God, what a riot. God, the shifter feel in this thing is, if you can hear me above the sound of the exhaust, is so sloppy. I've got it. Oh, there we go. Goodness me. It is the loudest thing I've ever been in. I don't know if you can see, but we've got an FD behind us. NANI? お前はもう死んでいる. Goodness me. Just landed at my feet! Oh my God! Wow! Let's collect ourselves for a moment. When I braked, the torque wrench landed right at my feet. My goodness, that was a riot. As we were chasing that FD, some of those gears were genuine misses. I'm not even making that up. No exaggerations. This car is hilarious. I don't know what alignment it's got, if at all. To summarise, the shifter feel in this thing was definitely can be improved. Some of those shifts were absolutely genuine miss shifts. I wasn't making those up. When we were chasing that FD, we're going to stick a full shifter rebuild kit in this thing. We have got all genuine Mazda parts. We've spec'd a Beatrush bronze bush. We're going to put a Jass Performance upper shift boot on it as well. So this thing should be absolutely wicked to shift when we're done with it. So let's go back to HQ. So we're now back at HQ again, and I'm going to walk you through all the parts that we're going to use to rebuild Dan's shifter. So first up is the Beatrush bronze lower shifter bush. We then have a lower pivot ball bushing. We have a wave washer. We have a tabbed wave washer. We have a upper pivot ball bushing. We have a lower gasket, and we then have the Jass Performance upper shift boot. So let's go into the car and start pulling it to bits. Let's get to pulling this interior apart. We have to remove the entire center console to be able to get to the shifter boots, which are under here. But first of all, we need to go through all his cubby holes to see what he has in store for us. So, some nice sunglasses. Some hand sanitizer. Very thoughtful, Dan. Actually, maybe I should have hand sanitized before we started working in here, to be honest. Don't know what he's been up to. Cigarette lighter, a bracket, assortment of cables and bolts as per any MX-5 owner is saving weight at all times. Although really, if he was saving weight, he should actually be throwing them away. And a gorgeous little baby Yoda. How precious. Let's, oh God, it's like some, oh God, there's some damp sugar. I wish I didn't have to look at this and avoid trying to lick it. One thing I do really like about the Mark II interior is the fact it has an actual cup holder for your tea. How good is that? Oh, proper. So for this job, we're going to need a screwdriver and a 10mm. To get the job started, there are 2 Phillips head screws at the front, and then there are 2 Phillips head screws in the back here. So let's start undoing these bad boys. Just the last one now. Remove the knob. Whoops. And then we should be able to, no we can't. What have I, oh, I've missed one. Apologies, there are 5. Now that's 5 screws out, let's remove this. It does come out, there we go. So then you have to remove the switch here, which I should have done earlier. That just comes out like that. There is our center console. So if you've never changed an upper shift boot in the past, they are well known to completely disintegrating. So let's take a look what this one is like. Oh my God, not one of them is intact. Look at, that's the gearbox, and that's the upper shift boot as well. Look, you can even see the pivot ball bushing in there. This thing is well past its best. I think this should have been changed about 2 years ago, probably longer than that, looking at the state of it. That is pretty atrocious. Dan, I'm not very impressed with your maintenance on this car, but let's pull this off. So that's all 4 bolts now out of this, to be honest, grim shift boot. The only thing that's good for is the bin. Time to get this lower shift boot off. I just dropped that bolt. Oh, there we go.
Congratulations, Leigh.
So with all of those bolts also removed, we can remove the shifter because that lower shift boot actually holds that shifter in. If we get it in neutral, there we go. It's got actually quite a bit of turret oil in there, which is good. Before I go any further, I'm actually going to put some gloves on because it's rather oily. And we'll move to our beautifully presented workspace and we can start dismantling this shifter. So pivot ball bush should just pop off, he says. There we go. What? So that's pivot ball bush off, pull this pure jank off. I'm just going to cut away the rest of the rubber on this because I'm really struggling. Oh, there we go, that was nice and easy, wasn't it? I have got the shifter here, and what we're going to do is just quickly reassemble some of the parts because they go together in a certain order. So I've already removed the upper shift boot off of this. So on the shifter, if we remove the upper pivot ball bushing and the tabbed spring washer, you can see that they actually are clipped together. So what I've done is I've already removed these 2 from the packet and we're just going to assemble those in the same way. If I clip that on, just like that, there we go. So we can put this back on. You can actually see, I don't know how well it will show up on camera, but this one is definitely a little less compressed, so that should hopefully tighten up the feel a little bit. So we're just going to pop that back on there first before we put this on, because once this goes on, it is not really coming off. It's a nightmare. So I'm going to use a little bit of spray grease just to lubricate it, because otherwise it's a bit of a job. Slip that bad boy over there. So with that all together, what we're going to do is take the rest of the parts and go install them in the car. Let's go. So there are 2 pins in the top of the shifter turret. We're going to knock one of those back so we can then pull out that lower pivot ball bush. After we've done that, we're then going to syringe out all the old oil so we can give them a fresh oil change in that turret. So let's go knock it back. And there's our bottom wave washer and the pivot ball bush. And then let's suck out what we can. So that's now all the shifter disassembled and cleaned up. I've just given it a quick wipe down and we've removed all the old oil. One thing to bear in mind with this is not all of them have the 2 pins to hold the shifter in place at the front and the back. Some of the early 5-speeds have like a little plastic bushing, which this particular one doesn't, being a later gearbox. But when you buy a kit from us, it does include all the correct parts, so you don't need to worry about that. We're now just going to fill it back up with oil, put all the bits back in it, and then go take it for a rip, see how it feels. It just needs filling up to the bottom of the shift mechanism. When you look inside, you can see that there's a part where the shifter bush sits, essentially. You just need to fill it up to the top of that. You don't need to go too crazy. Too much is going to be better than too little, but you don't need to fill it all the way to the top. And let's start reassembling. So first of all, it's our normal wave washer and the lower pivot ball bush is a little bit of a tight fit, but there we go. And so we now need to knock this pin back. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of grease on the inside of this bronze bush just to hold it on whilst I put it in that shifter turret. I don't want it slipping off. And so the white dot goes to the front of the car. Oh, there we go. And this gasket does have a certain way round, so we're going to have to rotate that until it finds its home. In fact, there. And whilst tightening these bolts up, just make sure you don't over tighten them because you are threading it into aluminium, and aluminium is going to be softer than the steel bolts that we're using, and we don't want to strip those threads. Just leave it a little bit nicer than when we found it, hey. And now our Jass Performance upper shift boot. Lovely. Whilst we're here, we might as well sort out Dan's rather sad shift boot, so let's have this out. Oh yeah. Oh Dan, that's gonna be so much nicer. There you go, mate. Beautiful, look at that. Far better. Now the knob, that's the finishing touch. God, that is so much better. That is really, really tight. Now, I would wager that that is better than what it came out from the factory like. However, we do need to test this on the road. It is obligatory. That is the only way I'm going to be able to report back really the difference that this has made to this car. So, let's go. So let's go out and see how this thing feels. In the hand, just so much nicer. There's like, we've lost that vagueness. It's really cool. Oh, so precise. Oh, this thing really rips. Oh, those heel toes are so crisp. Honestly, it's so much better. The precision is absolutely fab. Daniel, to be honest, this is probably not the knob I would choose. I'd want something a little bit lower down, or maybe fit a short shifter to lift it up. But the actual feel itself is so wonderful and precise. It's much better. Oh, yes. No missed shifts. What? Oh, yes. Yeah. Whoa, oh, those coilovers. What a thing. Oh, honestly, that shifter feels so much better. The Beatrush bush, all the new wave washers and stuff have made a huge difference. Oh. If you couldn't tell, I am absolutely made up with how much better this shifter feel is. It absolutely has transformed how this thing drives. But we're going to go back to HQ and we'll let Dan take it out and he can tell you the difference that he thinks that it has made to his car. So let's cut back. So So we just got back from driving Dan's car. I think it's an incredible transformation. However, we've got to let the man himself have a go in it and tell us exactly what he thinks. So take her out, Dan.
Sure.
See you in a bit.
A few moments later.
So Dan, what do you think?
That feels so good. It's so smooth, so much better. Also the fumes that I was getting before, no smell of them. It's just so much more precise, and just if you haven't checked, definitely check out if you need to rebuild your shifter, because it makes such a big difference, honestly. So good, thank you very much for that.
No worries, mate. I'm so pleased that we could help. We've also, you know, put that boot back in place because that was looking a bit of a mess. So it was a real state under there. So we've definitely improved that heaps. So thank you guys so much for watching today. It's been a lot of fun filming this video. Check all the links in the description. We'll put links to every single different shifter rebuild that we do for your car in the description, so you can definitely find one. Don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell us what the last mod that you did to your car was. Give this video a like, give it a thumbs up if you enjoy this content and you want more from us, because that tells us that you really enjoyed it. Subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you are notified every single time that we upload a video. So thanks everyone for watching once again. We will see you next time.